Now, I'm someone who loves contained thrillers like Saw and Phone Booth and Deep Blue Sea, Train to Busan, but then there's this movie, Blood Red Sky. This will be the hardest movie to talk about because there is a huge spoiler attached to its basic plot that I didn't know going in, and it made me clap my hands with glee because I love stuff like this. But I can't get anyone to watch it because I don't want to give anything away. I can't even begin to imagine how someone conceived a premise like the one in this movie. It's just so ridiculous, but it's helmed so intelligently that I admire this film. Blood Red Sky is probably one of the biggest surprises of 2021 so far. I went into this movie totally blind, stayed away from the trailer, just read the basic plot synopsis, and I'm so happy I limited my exposure to this film prior to watching it, because Netflix even put spoilers in the thumbnail for this movie on their homepage. Please don't look it up. Not only is this a contained thriller, but it also blends in another one of my favorite genres, and immediately it drew my attention because I love this type of garbage. Blood Red Sky is far from garbage though. Contained thrillers are a feat of script writing because they're very difficult to conceptualize and have it make sense on paper. When you're writing a movie like this, you have to consider so many possibilities and eliminate any chances of escape. And that's harder to do than you think from a screenwriter's perspective. I was not bored for a minute in this movie. This is one of those blink and you miss it type films that really trusts the audience to pick up on certain editorial clues and little hints here and there. And the movie itself is filled with plot twists and turns, and there are a lot of scenes where you think you know what's going to happen, but it takes your expectations for a joyride. I'm just going to give you the most basic plot synopsis I can, and I've even edited out certain parts of the trailer in this visual material accompanying my voice, so you can experience this film fresh and unassuming like I did. So the basic plot synopsis is that a mother is traveling with her son on a plane as it gets hijacked. Now the mother is critically ill and has to do everything in her power to try to keep her little boy safe. I'm just gonna leave it at that, but I'll also mention there is a supernatural element to this film. Even the hijackers in this movie are like, what the hell did we just walk into? This movie actually opens at the end of the film where a plane is being landed by a civilian who's being guided by personnel in an air traffic control tower. He manages to land the aircraft, and soon after soldiers question him and ask him where the passengers are and ask him to prove he's not the hijacker. It's a riveting way to kickstart a movie, especially because so much happens between the actual hijacking and the landing of this plane, and the movie plays with your expectations a lot. Usually in a lot of movies they have these flashback sequences that really bring a halt to the pacing of the film. Kindly recall my F9 review. But here the flashback sequences are just as interesting as the main plot itself, and that's something that's not easy to do. Every time the narrative jumps back in time, I'm like, yes, I want to see what happens next, because the positioning of these scenes within the script adds so much to the plot going forward and gives the film this relentless momentum. I have to give a shout out to the makeup artist that worked on this film because the makeup is so convincingly real, and I don't want to say too much without giving anything away, but the prosthetics are outstanding. They really do a great job of creating this emotional attachment to the two main characters, as well as a side character who sort of becomes a main character later, and they're all written so well, very emotionally engaging, and typically in movies with kid actors they can be hit or miss. They can go either way, but the kid actor in this film, man, not only does he have a lot to do, but he's actually someone you care about at the end of the movie, and the writers do such a good job of developing those relationships and keep just throwing them into the heat of conflict, and I couldn't stop watching them. I really did care about the three main characters in this. If there's one criticism I had to give to this film, it would be the ending. The movie's setting itself up for something crazy. I wish they had sort of gone for a different ending, especially the way everything was playing out. It seemed like they were establishing this dreary, dark outcome and even setting up for a sequel, which I would have loved to see. But it's a minor thing really, and overall it was such a fun experience. It's exactly the type of action thriller I dream about. I wish there were more of these stories, and I strongly urge you guys to watch this movie and support this movie. If I were to ever write a script, I think this is exactly the tone and subject matter and story that I would tell. It's right down my alley. And I order you to watch it and support the filmmakers because this is great content and I'd love to see more of this stuff on Netflix. And with that, I'm giving Blood Red Sky an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching, guys.